Well, today's project is supposed to be to mill 4-degree angle on this crankshaft bearing support, but I really have to fix up this cheap angle milling vise. It's actually probably more of a drilling vise. It's not really heavy enough to do proper milling in it, but that's what I'm using it for. Basically, I've found out right now that the way it's set up, I can't get it square because the holes in here aren't actually big enough. And I also noticed that the plate that goes on this end here isn't flat. So I'm going to face or fly cut this top surface here, get it flat, flip it over, face the back surface. I'm not going to take enough off. I'm just going to take probably about 2 or 3 thou, maybe 5 thou off maximum on each side, just to make sure it's flat. Get it sitting flat on there, and then I'll if need be, I'll just open up these holes either with the mill or I might just grind them. That's probably, for what it's worth, it's probably not worth doing anything precise. Okay, so I milled this off. This is the back side, or the side that faces the jaw here. And I took about 10 thou off of this side, probably about 20 off of the other side, and it looks pretty nice and flat now. It should be parallel because I have it sitting on the parallels as well. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take that off and I'm going to open up the holes, and I'm going to try and use the test indicator again to square off this jaw so that it's, well, when I'm moving the what is that, the y-axis, I guess it is? And so that it's parallel to that direction of motion. Here's something interesting. I haven't started to work on this vise, but it looks like I'd already done some grinding on it. So I must have been, have noticed before that it wasn't very square to the holes. In any case, I'd done both sides apparently, so I'm going to have to open it up more. Okay, so I opened up these slots here, and probably about 1/8 of an inch, maybe a little bit less, and I think that'll help a lot. Okay, so I've got the angle vise squared off relative to the y-axis here, and I'm pretty satisfied with it. It's within about 1/10 of an inch of perpendicular. I could probably get it better, but this vise is kind of crappy, and I think there's as much as that in slop in this thing here. So, I don't know, it actually looks pretty good. But in any case, one thing I did find out is that I have to keep the gibs tight on the y-axis even when I'm moving it, because I was seeing as much as about 8 thou of play in this thing when I was moving it, or when I was adjusting the vise to square. So just something to keep in mind. Okay, this isn't a good sign. I've just been indicating across the vise, and at this side it's reading about 67 thou with my dial indicator. I just decided to do this because, well, I decided I really should know if this vise is actually sitting flat with respect to the bed of the milling table here, and it would appear not to be. I'll pause this and move it to the other side, and you can see. And there you go. On this side, it's reading about 50 thou. So there's about 17 thou of difference in height between this location here and that location here. Now, this back piece, or this back supporting jaw, is indicated to within 1 thou of perpendicular to the angle of motion. So it's possible this vise is at a slight angle right now, that if the vise itself isn't square, like the angle of, or the axis of rotation of this thing isn't square to the edge of the vise, I might be hitting it at an angle like that, and I'm like climbing a hill. But no matter what, it means that this vise is a piece of crap. I don't know. Maybe I'm going to have to take it apart and do some milling on it, kind of deck this surface and then square it up to this surface after I've leveled this thing at 0 degrees according to this thing here. And holy cow, I think I really need a sine vise. rather than this hunk of junk. I don't know. I don't really feel like spending a couple of $100 on one. Anyways, that's where I'm going to leave it for today.